Hey everybody, welcome back to Windward Trail Music Speaks, where we fight depression with the power of music. I'm your professional handicapped host, James Cox. And I got an awesome interview with us today. I just saw his email in Michael's um, uh, email blast, and I had to get you on, man. This is gonna be so
Thank you.
awesome. His name is Sarantos. Yes. So Mr. Sarantos is a Chicago-based nerd. We love that here. And retired superhero who always has a story to tell. He is a do-it-yourself international award-winning solo music artist. Top 7 iTunes UK charting in the rock genre. Top 5 iTunes UK singer-songwriter. Top 8 iTunes UK country. Number 1 iTunes South Africa folk and country. And he got a lot of stuff. Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah, a few.
Um, yeah, he has also been on Spotify charts many times, including hitting number 1 in Iceland in all genres. How you doing?
Great. How you doing, James? Thank you so much
Good.
for having me tonight.
Yeah. So okay. So you're based in Chicago right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, born and
Okay.
raised.
Nice. Now, so how is the music scene over there? Is it like really good or it's okay?
So, to be honest with you, Chicago gets dissed on by a lot of people. We're
Yeah.
not LA, we're not New York, we're
Yeah.
not Nashville, but I think there's a lot of cool music happening here and a lot of fusion. And obviously, people know Chance the Rapper, Kanye kind of came from Chicago, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to put my stamp on it. And
There
my
you go.
goal is to make Chicago known all over the world for music.
Well, I think you're doing a great job because from the paragraph I read, everybody knows you right now. Everybody,
I
you
don't know
know.
about that. I wish everyone knew me, but I'm not Taylor Swift. I'm not gonna lie, So no, not everybody knows me, but that's where I'm at, and I'm hoping.
Nice. Well, who is Taylor Swift, right? Not me. We're
That's
definitely not
right.
Taylor Swift podcast here, so that's good.
All right.
So you are a nerd, and I love that term because I am avid comic book reader. Well, I used to collect a lot of comic books
Yeah.
back in the day. Because I'm 44, I started it when I was 16. I don't collect as much comics as I do now. Who is your favorite comic book character, and why? Essentially, I mean, because I know
Oh
that's
man.
vast and so hard.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Marvel, DC. I love all of them. I would read even like cartoon things like The Simpsons. I did everything, and then if I had to pick one,
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, it was Superman, so of course then it was Batman because he's an actual human and, it's more relatable. But
Right.
um, there's so many cool characters in the Marvel universe. And
Yeah.
honestly, if Marvel or DC called, I would be happy to play a superhero, whether it's a new one that's based on my life or whether it's, one of the
Yeah.
classics. I love all superheroes, man. I'm a nut.
Well, I read in your bio also. I'm going to bring up your bio a lot here. But
Sure.
I read in your bio that your music got on some movies and TV shows. Is that true? I mean, like,
Yeah,
mm,
so I don't have a publisher and I don't have a record label, so it's not promoted like some of those other venues that have connections, and it hasn't been featured where people, mostly it's instrumental music. But
yeah,
again, my goal is to one day get one of my lyric songs where I'm singing be like one of the main songs to a movie that a lot of people know. There's a lot of indie music. There's a lot of nowadays you have Hulu, you have Netflix, you have all these indie films. So
yeah.
everybody, the dream is to get on a big film that everybody knows, and then,
And then
it's not your words are cut out. It's wow, that's that song.
that's Toronto. So it's a good old, yeah,
Yeah,
hell yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I love you for saying Superman because he's my favorite hero of all time. I don't care what anybody says. But there's
yeah.
a lot of talk between Batman versus Superman, and they're like, who's gonna win? I'm like, bro, come on now. You got an alien
That's
and you
right.
got a human being. There's no contest. No contest.
Yep, yep.
Even with even if Batman can hold kryptonite, I don't think he win. But yeah, it's it's very weird how these comic book um i- fans can overthink something, you know.
Yeah, fans
So,
are infectious. They're great, whether they're music fans, comic book fans, movie fans, but they definitely like to argue sometimes a little bit and clash with
mm,
fans of different artists or different genres of movies.
mm,
But at the end of the day, it's all fun.
so,
I don't think you should go over the line and hurt someone or say something really mean, but it's playful.
yeah. I mean the reason why I brought it up is because it's true with music, you know.
Mhm.
It's like same thing as comic book fans. Music fans can be very outspoken about their favorite band. You know, oh, you like this, but you suck because you like this. You know, who cares? You
Yeah.
know, it's all good stuff. You know, so
Yeah, I think my goal is I love when fans email me or message me on social media. I have an email list that's been slowly growing over the years, and my goal is only to continue to put stuff out there. And it really touches me when someone says something that I inspired them or that they love one of my songs or it's relatable. And that's really all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to get into war with the Swifties or the BTS army or I'm not trying to say I'm the best thing out there. All I can do is try to get better every day. I
right.
write books, they fiction fantasy books. I put out, poems. I put out music. I write lyrics. I put out instrumentals. I'm just trying to get better and I'm having fun at it. So that's really, I think if you read my bio or if you read my social media or interact with me, I'm playful. I'm sarcastic. I don't take myself too seriously. In Greek, I'm Greek.
Oh, no,
Born in
okay.
Chicago, though, but there's a word called piraktiri. So what that means is loosely translated in American, it's like a botherer. So I'm very like playful. I don't really look to destroy someone. I have no enemies. I kind of take everything in stride.
Yeah, there you go. There. Yeah. Okay. So, you're Greek. So, what's the best Greek food you could recommend to me if I
I'm a
ever had it?
foodie.
Like, oh,
I'm a
right. Yeah.
foodie, and I grew up in
Yeah.
the restaurant business. So I grew up cooking, cleaning. I was a
Mm,
waiter. I was a dishwasher. I was everything, and I always loved to create my own dishes. So if I had to pick one Greek food, you can't go wrong, especially in Greece with a shish kebab, just like a pork shish kebab with French fries, a little rice, something like that. When I visit Greece, I could literally eat that every day with a
yeah.
little tomato salad and a little watermelon for dessert. Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, yeah, awesome, awesome. So you are a multi-instrumentalist, and that term is very vague. So I want to
Mhm.
ask you, how many instruments can you play as of right now? Oop. Hey,
Hey, I lost you
what
there.
happened? Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no
Okay,
problem.
all right. Well, I'm going to repeat the question again. Um, so you are a multi instrumentalist, and that term is very vague. Because I mean, so can you tell me how many instruments you actually play or can
Sure.
play?
Sure. So when I started many years ago in like third, fourth grade, my focus was lyrics and words, and that's really all I did. And some of them were probably poems more than songs. And about 11 years ago, when I started this journey, my father passed away a couple years before that after fighting lung cancer for many years. And I just didn't want to be on my deathbed and said, I never gave this a shot because growing up, no one took musicians seriously. If you said, I want to be in a band or I want to make music, they said, okay, yeah, whatever, but what's your real job? So I grew up in that kind of environment and it always kind of bothered me. So when I started, I didn't technically know how to play any instrument. It was all about lyrics and I wanted to sing, but truthfully, that was my instrument, but I kind of sucked at it because I didn't know what I was doing. And I would put together these songs. I would use loops. I would hire people and say, "Hey, here's my idea. Here's a loop idea. Can you make this into a guitar for the song?" And after about 2 years, I was at a Taxi Music Conference, and I met a songwriting coach, and I started taking songwriting lessons. And I've been doing that about 8 years now, and I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what a chord was. So he slowly got me to learn that, I basically learned how to play the piano, And I'll never forget when I first started, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Because obviously I wasn't like 5 when I was learning. And I would like not even know like what each key is called. And I put little post-its and I bought something on Amazon that had what the key is. That's a C, that's a D. But eventually I took those away. I learned how to play the piano, and that's my main instrument. And as I've transitioned to learning all the other things from, rhythm, groove, vocal melody, all these other things, my proficiency has been logic. So if you have a DAW, like a digital platform, and if you know theory and music and chords, and you can play an instrument like the piano, you could pretend you play every instrument. So I've dabbled with real guitars, I've dabbled with real drums, I've dabbled with all sorts of instruments. I have a bouzouki from Greece, I have flute, I have a harmonica. So I probably try to play about 10 different instruments, but the truth is, I think piano is really the main one.
Mm.
And I'm finishing production. And once I do that, Jai Josephs, who's the songwriter coach, is going to teach me the guitar for real. So that's kind of my objective. And then after that, I want to do the drums for real. So
Yeah.
I want to keep learning.
There you go. There you go. Well, from what I hear, musicians always tell me that the guitar is one of the most easiest instruments to play. All you gotta know is just 3 notes, 3 chords to start out with, and basically you can
Yeah.
just teach yourself from there on. So
Yeah, people say that, like, if you listen to some of the some songs like Tom Petty or
yeah,
just some of the
yep.
modern pop things, it's the same 3
Three,
chords.
yeah,
But in my mind, I've just like when I was singing before, when I was playing the piano, you would take GarageBand, but it never stuck until you really challenge yourself to learn. At one point, I knew the different chords on a guitar, but if you don't play it consistently, you just forget it. And it really takes a little effort and time to practice it to get it stuck in your brain. Like, even if I don't play the piano for a month, I know it now. I don't
yeah,
have to when I go back, I may not be as fast, but I don't
right.
have to go back and wonder like what's a C chord, what's a C
Yeah,
minor, what's an F sharp. I kind of just once you built it into you, you practice but it's hard to learn at an older age too. So
it
I
is.
highly encourage
Yeah.
people to start when they're young. Then it's
Mm,
much easier.
yeah. I've heard the same thing about foreign languages because if you start learning at a young, like 5 or 6 years old, it's much easier to learn anything at a younger age. But you still can learn it if you're older, like me. you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it just matters about how you're disciplining yourself.
My advice and my goal is if I ever am lucky enough to make it, to be up on the Grammy stage and win something, and as much as I fantasize about winning Album of the Year, Artist of the Year, have like, 8 out of my 11 songs in a year be number one hits, whatever it is, part of my story is at one point, if I make it, I want people to hear the raw stuff that I put out initially and how bad it was, and then how I slowly evolved because a lot of people have this misconception that you're born with it. I think you can be born with a lot of things. You
Yeah,
might have a certain level of intelligence, you might have a certain level of drive. We all have our personality flaws. Some we inherit from our parents, some our circumstances, but I think you can become anything you want. I really do. And it takes a lot of hard work. And yeah, it could take 10,000 hours to do it. It could take 10 years. But I think a lot of people quit. And when you challenge yourself, if you're just playing, if I'm singing, certain melodies, or I'm playing through piano exercises, it's boring and repetitive. And it doesn't challenge you. I think you have to challenge yourself to get that plasticity, to have your neurons in your brain, and it takes time and effort. And it's frustrating as hell, to be honest with you.
it is. Yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah. Mm. Okay. So earlier you said you took songwriting lessons, correct?
Mhm. Still do.
Can okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so can you tell us the easiest way to get started, just in case, like somebody like me, right? I've always wanted to write my own songs. I wasn't sure how to, writing
Yeah.
book, writing song. I tried playing guitar. I might go back and do that again. I'm not sure, but for my listeners out there, if they want to, if they want to start day one learning to write a song, what steps would they need to take to accomplish that goal? The easiest, not the easiest way, but the way
Sure.
that you were taught. Yeah,
The hard thing about the music business, there's a couple different things that you should think about before you start on this journey. One is this your passion? Like, are you going to be
yeah,
doing this for 10 or 20 years and never stop? And that's
yeah,
what it is for me. And I might have gotten to the starting line late in life, but again, I love doing it and I'm going to do it till the day I die. So I think the flip side is people nowadays, there's so many songs going out on Spotify every day, and people are bedroom producers and they kind of just make stuff
yeah,
at home. And again, you have to decide what you want to be. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I want to learn how to play the piano. I want to write a song and I want to do it because I'm getting married in a year and I want to make a song for my wife or my husband or whatever you decide to do. But if at some point, and you could start off like that, but at some point, if you want to take it seriously, nothing is going to replace the shortest distance between you and your end dream is you got to find the right teachers. And the hard thing about the music business is there's so much BS out there where everybody says, "Give me $100, I'll get your song on 100 Spotify playlists," but it's all garbage and it's all
yeah,
bots. So the hardest part to this is there are gatekeepers, which are the record labels. A song takes $1 to $2 million minimum to promote it. And if you're an indie artist with zero marketing budget, I stopped advertising. I don't remember exactly when. I think it was 2017 because I said I can get engagement, I can get some followers, but I felt like even if it was on a legitimate platform like Facebook, it just gave me fake people that wanted to look legitimate to Facebook. And you
yeah,
look at your users and you're like, wow, I have 200,000 followers in Turkey. I have no issue with Turkey, but when you look at Bangladesh and you look at some of these, they're bots, they're fake. They don't help you. So you have to decide what you want to do. And I decided I'm going to focus on getting better. When I feel like my music and my vocals and everything is where it's not embarrassing and it's really everything's getting ranked at least 70th percentile among musicians when I review it, which I'm pretty much at nowadays, then I'm going to start advertising again. So my goal is at some point, maybe this year or next year, to start advertising a little bit because it works. But to me, I think the education is if you don't want to take it so seriously, look at GarageBand. They have free tutorials for piano and guitar. If you look at YouTube, there's a lot of free channels that'll teach you how to play guitar. And are you a beginner? Are you an intermediate? So there's a lot of free resources, but you have to ask yourself why you're doing it. Because when it's Saturday night and all your friends are out partying, and your significant other is like, "Hey, I'm gonna go," you're the one that's sitting there at 2 in the morning at midnight working on a song. And people don't realize this, but I might work hundreds of hours on a song
yeah,
that they take 3 minutes to listen to, and they decide in the first 10, 15 seconds if they even like it. Sometimes they don't make it to the end, and they're not going to hear what I did in the third chorus and that cool harmony I added or the counter melodies. So you could write a great song, but if someone isn't in the mood for a depressing song about killing yourself, they're not going to listen to it. One of the most touching songs I've written was my song at the end of last year's album called I Thought. That basically I thought God would help me. And it talks about me thinking about suicide, that, I'm sick of this shit and I can't take it
mm,
anymore. Like, but that's not a song for everybody. So,
no, it's
and
not.
it's not even if you're a fan of mine, you might not be in the mood for that song on a certain day,
Right.
so there's so many variables to it.
Yeah. But just imagine how that song could help someone if they were actually listening to it fully. I'm sure that song helped a lot of your fans. For sure.
Yeah, and what I've tried to do, I'm a writer, right? Obviously.
Mm,
So it's all about words. So if you're going to look at anything of mine, the new song every month comes out on the first Tuesday with a free lyric video. The second Tuesday of the month, the new music video comes out. The third Tuesday of the month, the new book chapter comes out. And the fourth Tuesday of the month, it's the new poem. So if you read my post on the first month and the second, Tuesday of the month, you're going to find out the story of the song. And the
Yeah.
second one, it expands a little more and talks about the music video. But if you just read that paragraph or two, that's all you need to know. You don't need to follow me on social media if you don't want and see what in the world is he doing? Why is he posting that video of the car driving next to him or something? So again, to me, I try to be authentic because the truth is I'm not going to relate to everybody. People will either want to relate to me or they won't. And
Right.
I'm just trying to get better and be authentic and hopefully they come along for the ride. If they hop off the car, maybe in 3 months they'll come back because I'm not going anywhere.
Nice. Nice. Well, I'm currently looking at your Apple Music playlist, and I see a whole lot of albums right now. You have about probably 16, maybe. I don't, if I could count.
Yeah, there's probably more. So this is my
Yeah.
11th
Okay.
year, and what I've done is every single year, the new song that comes out every month, in November, I package it into a CD. So
Okay.
this year I'm working on the 11th CD, but what I've done, and I started this my first year out, is I release a surprise CD every year. So the
Yeah.
first year, the surprise CD was a Christmas CD with a bunch of originals, a bunch of public domain, covers that I did. I read like 10 short stories, like Christmas short stories. The second year I did a movie instrumentals, then a TV instrumentals. I've done jazz instrumentals. I did a funeral CD. I
Mm.
did a healing and meditation CD. So I've actually this year I'm going to be putting on my 21st and 22nd CD. So that's a lot of songs in 11 years.
You are busy. I can tell you that right now. You can't say that you can't slack off because I know you're working. But
Yeah,
what I thought was interesting of you was just a while ago you said that music is your passion, and you'll do it to till you die, right? And
absolutely.
that's awesome. Awesome, you said that. But
Yeah.
now artists are doing singles, and
Hmm.
I read that you are doing a single every month until you pass away. Correct?
Correct.
Yes. And so you just mentioned that before. You've got a song, a music video, a new book in your a new chapter in your book every week, or yeah,
Every
and you
month.
got
Yeah.
a poem every month. So do you find that people get a little bored with full blown albums as opposed to singles every month? Because some
Yeah.
people are like, I like that album, but I like two songs, But if you give them one
Yeah.
single, we're like, oh my god, this one is amazing. And I listened to it for a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
When I started, and it still is, if you look at all the big artists, they put a CD out every 2 to 3 years. When they put a CD out, they're only going to make like two music videos. Taylor's
yeah,
probably the exception to that.
right,
Um,
yeah,
but if you look at what I tried to do, I said I don't want to fall away for 2, 3 years and have them forget about me. So I said I'm going
mm,
to put out a song every month,
yeah,
and that means one CD every year. And the last couple years, I've actually started throwing in a surprise song, so it's actually
mhm,
not 11, it's 12 songs.
yeah,
And I'm always trying to make surprises for the fans. And I probably in the beginning, I would use other people to mix it and to help me with some of the different elements. And then about maybe after 2017, I actually kept trying to do everything myself. So in my eyes, if you look at 2018 to 2021, there's a time there where my stuff, there were issues. There were issues with it. But eventually, as I broke through and I got better and better and better, and I learned how to do almost everything, the music has definitely picked up. And I think the last key for me was doing vocal melody with Jai, learning about melody as opposed to just singing and not having a clue what that means. That's really helped me because in the past people would be like, "Your voice sucks, your pitch, you're off pitch," and I'd be like, "What are they talking about?" I'm looking at it. I used auto tune. I don't understand, and it took me a while to be able to understand and to edit melodies and now if people say, and they don't really say that anymore, but if they
good.
say, "Oh, you're off pitch,"
Yeah,
really it tells me one of two things: either they don't understand what they're talking about, or my tone is off, or
Mm,
something that I did, a melody I did is boring, or it's not attractive to them, or it's not ear candy and they don't, it's not a good melody.
right.
So it's not that, if I try 50 melody ideas for every section of my song and I settle on, whatever the melody idea is, it just means, hey, that melody sucks. It's not that good. So that's something I've come to understand that I had no idea about before. Before I listened to my old stuff and I'm like, oh, I
Oh,
was like,
right.
I
Yeah.
didn't quite get it. I thought I got it, but the other thing that I would recommend for anyone really interested in a career in music, I started this back in 2017 and it took forever, but ear training. You do not understand if your ears can't pick it up. Mine couldn't. When I would listen to music, my whole life, I just heard it and I had no idea what was the guitar, what was the drum, what was the keys, and now I can pick things out. And ear training enables you to listen to something, and even if you don't have perfect pitch to say that's a C sharp or that's an E
Yeah.
flat, if relative pitch is really what's really important to know that, hey, I went from C to E to G, that's a third and a fifth. So there's a lot of things that you can learn, but you got to want to learn them.
Yeah. Mm, great stuff. Um, so okay, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna ask you this right, but please bear with me.
No problem,
Um,
man. Ask whatever.
so I love your songs with the lyrics as well as its instrumental.
Okay.
Do you write your songs with lyrics for the listener, or do you write them just get out of your thoughts or your experiences? Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you
Yeah.
mean.
Okay, good.
So
Okay, great.
years ago, all I did was write lyrics, and I
Right,
might have had an idea in my head of, I want this to sound like Billy Joel Piano Man, or I want this to sound like, but again, I didn't have the skill set to be able to tell you other than this is hard rock, this is a pop song. I couldn't really tell you. Um, I've written over 4,000 songs, so that's a lot of
wow,
songs.
yeah,
So some songs are very emotional to me where, hey, this happened to me today at work, and God, I'm so annoyed, and I just can't take it, and I want to quit or whatever. So some
yeah,
songs are 100% about me. Other
yeah,
songs have nothing to do with me. They are me watching a movie or listening to a song and hearing a line. And the line could be as simple as, I love you. Why did you leave me? And all of a sudden, like my mind wanders, and then a song is birthed in my head, and then I
right,
create it. So I have this weird challenge where I have so much content, and it's funny because I have a notes in my iPhone. I used to have everything written, and I put it digital many years ago. So I keep anytime I hear something, I have a note, and I just keep adding to it. But the funny thing is, when I write a song, I literally almost never look at that note. So I have all these cool little lines in my notepad that I almost never use that I've heard somewhere or came to me when I was running or something. But I wish in my perfect world that other artists would want to collaborate with me because every time I've reached out to them or every time someone's reached out to me, I was like, sure, what do you want to do? And they're like,
right,
oh, I just want to sing. And I'm like, all right, what are you in the mood for? And they're like, how about something jazzy that's this? And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'll come up with something, send it to you. We'll split it 50-50. Let me know. You can come up with lyrics since that's your thing. Send them back to me. We'll go back and forth, and then you decide what you want to sing. I'm so flexible, and then I never hear from them again. This has happened to me
what,
6 times. So
what,
I don't know if they get intimidated or they're like, holy crap, this guy just sent me the Logic file and there's like 20 tracks and he sent me this finished song.
right,
But I would love to collaborate. I would love to keep doing my thing.
yeah,
I'd love to collaborate and I'd love to be in a band. I'd love to
right,
be in a band because I haven't done a live show since the Toronto Music Festival many years ago. But that's a whole other challenge is trying to find bandmates that want to play with you and rehearse.
yeah.
And the Toronto Music Festival, 2 weeks before, the band I had hired and the musical director were like, hey, we don't have passports. We can't go to Toronto. I was like,
So
I
much,
kept asking you for months. You told me you had it.
right,
So then I
yeah,
struggled to find a cover band last minute. And I
yeah,
said, I'm not going to do that until people are okay showing up, rehearsing, playing with me.
right,
I'd
yeah,
love, even if it's a gig a month or one a week, I'd love to do
yeah,
it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it sucks that they did that. I'm sorry about that. But okay, so now you did mention the live aspect, so I want to go. I want to ask you about the live. When you did play live, um, I also read that you embrace imperfections with
Yeah.
live playing. And I find that so awesome that you say that because many artists struggle to be perfectionists, but we're not. We're human
Yeah.
beings. And I love you for owning up to your imperfections if they happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I used to allow imperfections in my music that went out into the world too,
yeah,
but I don't allow as much now because, again,
yeah.
people latch onto that and they're like, they don't understand it's a passing note and it's
Right,
purposely chromatic or what you're trying to do all the time. So little stuff you can get away with, but the bottom line is everyone is so used to listening to perfectly auto-tuned, perfectly like
perfect.
and it's again in a perfect world, I wish with all my heart. Now I'm completely in a different place than I was, 5 or 8, 9 years ago, because now I feel confident on stage.
Right.
And I can sing a hell of a lot better, and my range is way expanded compared to what it was. So I would love to get out there and my again, I don't know if this is coming through, but I'm a nerd, I'm an idiot, I'm playful. I make jokes up on stage. I'm very it's almost like songwriter slash musician slash comedian slash Greek guy who thinks he knows everything. It just you're gonna know exactly what's on my mind. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't offend people. I poke fun of myself probably more than
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah.
else.
Nice. Nice. So, you host a songwriters show,
Mhm.
which is a radio show, and it's ranked number one. And you have listeners from all over the country, including
Oh,
206 countries. Can you explain what that show is all about? And
yeah,
if people want
so
to come on, can they, or do you have to be
sure.
like okay?
No, absolutely. If anybody wants to be on the Songwriter Show, they can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. They can email me info@melogia.com, melogia.com. The website is melogia.com, which in Greek means with words. And I thought that was kind of cool since I'm all about the words. And
Right.
truthfully, Sarantos.com was taken. So when I went trying to think of what's my website going to be, I tried a bunch of things, but everything was taken. So that's what I
Oh no! Right.
settled in
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And it's a great show. It's very authentic. I've had some pretty big songwriters and musicians on there. I've had a
Yeah.
lot of indie artists where the show runs and a bunch of fans are emailing me like, "This is terrible. They don't know how to do this." But again, it's an indie artist show,
Yeah.
and I've been doing it for a while now, and it keeps growing and growing, and it's
Nice.
very fun, and I think people really enjoy it. They enjoy listening to it if they're trying to learn. So if you're a musician and you want to learn, but also if you're a fan and you just want to know how is music made, how are songs made, and we talk about all sorts of different elements, but it's not all like nerd speak. It's very casual and it's very dumbed down. So even if you know nothing about music, you'll enjoy it.
Right. How do you decide to what to share with the audience? Okay, I'm gonna back it up. Right. There are some songs that you write that you don't want to release to the public because it's so personal, right? And I'm sure you've written
Yeah.
hundreds of songs like that. How do you know that it's right for you to share with us as opposed to the songs that you hold dear and dear to your heart?
So I learned a long time ago, I don't ever hold anything out of the public eye because it's too personal. So I've learned everyone says, oh, it's a love song, it's a this and a breakup song, and there's some cliches that people write. So if something is really powerful and it means a lot to me, nowadays I just release it because I feel like it's more authentic and true, and
Yeah.
people otherwise see right through that.
Yeah.
There's no question sometimes I write it again, when you're a professional songwriter, which I've learned, it's got to be relatable. So there's some songs I release. I release the song every songwriter needs to spend a night in Nashville, right? So that's kind of a fun song, but at the end of the day, that's more for people that are songwriters. So sometimes you release a song that is in a certain genre. It's an LGBTQ song, and it's not going to relate to other people. But
Right.
at the end of the day, I try to make it relatable to at least a certain subset of listeners. But I want every song to be relatable to everybody, and I'm hoping that eventually people kind of understand what I'm doing. They understand the songs, the mission. Every song I pick a charity and donate to a charity for every song every month. So hopefully eventually, again, I want to grow up to be Taylor, where anything I put out, the crowd is like, oh, that's great. And again, everyone's going to give you bad press or they're going to jump on something because people want to build you up, then they want to tear you down. But I'm just gonna try to be humble and keep working hard and keep being nice to as many people as I can.
There you go. I mean, it doesn't cost money to be nice to anybody, you know.
Not at
Costs money to
all.
be evil because we be suing
Yeah.
everybody, you know. But so I really relate like instrumental songs, and I like your instrumental songs too. Because I feel like you wrote them for my experiences later in life, or what I'm feeling right now.
Okay.
Um, how do you know what song is going to be just instrumental, and how do you know that it's going to be with lyrics, words?
That's a great question. So in general, when I say, "Hey, I'm gonna put out a rainforest instrumental, CD," I will kind of come up with some themes and topics, and, one might be called Amazon rainforest, the other might be called Blizzard or, just whatever
Yeah,
I decide, and then I try to put myself in the mood to come up with an instrumental. Most instrumentals that I write nowadays, if they're on a CD and they're meant for movies and TV
yeah,
cues and stuff like that, I kinda limit it to a couple minutes. So most of them are about anywhere from a minute 45 to 2 minutes, 10 seconds. So they're very different than a song. So most songs, again, most people want around a 3-minute song. So I'd say most of my songs are about 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Some songs are 7 minutes. Once a year, I try to
mm,
piss off everybody and say, hey, here's a song that's a 7-minute rock song.
yeah.
Some are 4 or 5 minutes. So usually I kind of know if it's going to be instrumental or with lyrics. But the truth is, even the songs with lyrics, I always have an instrumental version. And on places like Reverb
Okay.
Nation, I'll release that too. So people sometimes don't mind listening to an instrumental that's 3 or 4 minutes. But in general, I kind of know in my head of which direction am I going.
Mm, yeah. Okay, so I have about three more questions for you. I almost did
Sure.
songs. That's fine. Um,
Yeah.
so what is your favorite part about being a singer songwriter, and what do you find the most challenging about that career path? Like, what do you like and what do you don't like about being a
I'll
singer
tell you what I
songwriter?
love. There's nothing like when a fan reaches out, and it could be as simple as you made my day. I love your song. This song reminds me of, my dead husband. This song, it really just, there's nothing that it's like crack and cocaine. And I've never done drugs, but it's just such a powerful, humbling feeling
Yeah,
because we're all busy and we don't have a lot of time. And if somebody takes their precious time to listen to one of my songs, and then they take an extra 10 seconds or 5 minutes to write me an email or send me a message, it just means the world to me. So
mm,
that's definitely the highest high. And maybe that's going to be replaced one day if I win a Grammy or have a number one hit, but I don't think so. I think, hopefully I get even more emails from people at that time.
right,
The most frustrating thing by far is you're an indie artist. You have no label. So you could put out a great song, but if 5 or 10 people hear it, you've again, did you just waste 6 months of your life and
yeah,
300 hours on that? And I hate
yeah,
feeling like that, but I understand that there's a lot of noise in the world today. And what I'm hoping happens that people hear about me, listen to something, and be like, wait a minute, he's never used a label. He's never used a recording studio. Like he does this in his family room that has terrible acoustics, except for 3 songs out of 250. Like, holy crap, this kid's talented, or this guy is, he's persevering because he's doing this for 11 years and he sucked and he's getting better. And
Mm.
I want someone to believe in me. Not that I don't believe in myself, but I want someone to believe in me, like, Ed Sheeran's investor did in him, or like somebody to take me to that next level because I know I can't do it alone. And I want someone to believe in me and to say, hey, you know what? Let me fund you. Let me, let's sign a record deal here and it'll be fair to you. It's not going to be, because again, it's such a
Yeah,
fine line between getting taken advantage of and, but at the end of the day, I think that I'm only going to keep getting better. And I would love to collaborate. I'd love to write songs. I have songs. If
yeah,
someone says, hey, do you have a song I can buy off you, or a song I can release to the world, then you'll get some points and royalties. I have so much content that I would love to produce other people. I would love to have a publisher that says, hey,
yeah.
this new movie needs a theme song and it's about this. And can you come up with something? I'd love to do that. That would be
Done.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that about the record labels because after doing this for 4 years, I found out that most, like 95% of the musicians I talk to, would rather be independent than have a big label because yes, you don't get as many listens and views, but you do it out of the love for this business, and you get to do what you want to do without being told what to do. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, but I also, you're right. And I think the indie artist is like, screw the label, but then
yeah,
you don't have those doors, you're not going to get that real exposure. So if you look at some artists, they understand and they're like, yeah, I get paid a lot less, but guess what? I get to write with this famous person and that famous person. So
right,
to
yeah,
me, it's not really, I'm not doing this for the money and I don't
right,
really care. But what I hope happens is once you have enough credibility and once you have something people want and they come to you and they say, hey, I want to sign you to a 360, instead of arguing with them, I want to be honest and say, look, I want to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. 1 song a month, every day till the day I die. Yeah, I don't want to have the pressure of you telling me I have to put out 40 songs a year, but I already put out more content than anybody. But what a label would do for someone like me is say, "Oh, what's a song you're thinking of putting out for February? What love song?" And I'll be like, "Oh, this one." And they'll be like, "It's okay. We beta tested it, and you know what? The chorus doesn't work." And getting that kind of feedback as opposed to doing it yourself. Or if you're like, "Well, these are the 3 songs I'm thinking about," having their experts, their producers, their say, "Oh my God, this song's a hit. These other 2 songs are okay, but this is it." And then being able to say, "I want you to fly to Nashville, record this in a real studio, and instead of you screwing around on the piano and the guitar and doing something in Logic, we're going to have a professional orchestra. We're going to have a professional choir in the background." I mean, that's taking your thing from a B or B plus to an A plus.
right,
Why would I not want that? I would totally want that.
right.
I'm mature enough to understand how the world works. And again, I think it could be a win-win. I think if you think you're getting screwed or you think they have all the leverage, you're in the wrong relationship. Whether it's marriage, whether it's a label, it's got to be a win-win. Then everyone's happy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because everybody should be free to do what they want to. But I think there's so many bad opinions about the industry that many people
For
think it's
sure.
automatically evil.
Yeah,
And
and
yes, but
it is.
no at the same time. Well, yeah, it is. But
Yeah,
sometimes, I don't. Well, I think Rob Zombie has his own record label, but doesn't screw over his artists. From what I know, he doesn't do it. But then
yeah.
again, I'm not really sure if he still has that label or not. But two more questions, and then I will let you go.
Sure.
I want to dive into your new song, "Never Trust a Happy Song," which is a great title. I love it.
Thank
Um,
you.
so that song is about, for people who are wondering, and I want to run that by you. That's about how happy songs aren't very happy at all. You know, they'll tell you one thing, but the real world will tell you the other. Do I have that tip somewhat correct?
Yeah, it's open-ended. There's a
Okay.
couple little ways to interpret it, and I did that on purpose, where that's one way. The other way is I just can't trust the happy song because ultimately a happy song, I listen to it, I get happy. I think this is great. I was sad, now I'm happy, but
Mm.
it's not going to change your life for you, right? Now, the irony is a good song can change your life and your mood,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right.
So there's all these
Especially
like
food.
little nuggets in many ways that it could be relatable to different people. And honestly, when I was thinking about it, it had different titles. I went through a bunch of ideas, but as I said, no one's ever written a song saying that happy songs suck, like,
Right.
so that's kind
Yeah.
of what I tried to do. I tried to really do like a 360 where people are like, wait, what's the song about? And then they listen to it, so that's kind of what I tried to do.
Yeah. Nice. 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 Well, thank you for
Thank you.
that. Um,
You're welcome.
one last question, and it might be the hardest. We're wrapping up this interview, so I always ask this to my guests: is there a artist, album, or song that you can tell me that you can listen to right now, but you can't tell me or anybody else how it makes you feel deep inside your soul?
I'm such an audiophile. I'm an 80s child,
Yes, that's the
so
best.
but I mix modern pop rock. So
Yeah,
when I look at 80s, oh my God,
that's
Journey,
best music ever made.
Survivor,
Yes, yes.
Michael Jackson. I mean, these are, Def Leppard. Those are probably like the four things that pop to my head. But almost anything 80s, I like am drooling. I would love to listen to it. And then the modern stuff, I mean, Taylor, Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber is kind of missing now, but there's so many fantastic artists. And I'm humbled. There's nothing cooler than finding a song that fits you in the moment and you're like, oh, I want to play this over and over and over. And that's why my mission is, if you look at my website and everything, I want you to hit that replay button over and over. Then I know I've hooked you and I've touched you and that I've made a difference in your life.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you for that. Yeah, because that's awesome. Yeah, because many songs can reach you so emotionally you can't tell anybody how it makes you feel. And I got several songs,
Yeah.
that speak to me that I can't tell anybody about. So yeah, but the '80s, man, '80s was the business back in the day. I love the '80s, a little bit in the '90s, but '80s really got me,
Yeah.
to where I am today. So yes, but
Yeah.
thank you for that.
I love the
Yeah,
80s. Yeah.
'80s were great. Yeah, I wish they would all come back. The '80s
I'm
vibe.
trying. I'm trying to bring them
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
That's what I'm
man. Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
do,
yeah.
but I'm trying not to have these 40-second intros, It's
Right.
80s, but with all the stuff that you gotta do today. You gotta change something every 4 to 8 bars. You gotta, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, my friend. So
Oh yeah. Well, keep it up, brother. It's gonna be
thank
good.
you.
Good time for you.
Yeah.
So for anybody listening to this interview, you can go to Sarantos. You can visit his Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You're on TikTok, right?
Yep.
Nice. I
Absolutely.
really don't understand TikTok. I'm still trying to find that.
Yeah.
Instagram. Instagram. I can do, but TikTok is a wild ride for me. So
Yeah.
and if you want to go on this a radio show, can you tell them what email they can have again for it?
Yeah, so the easiest thing, so if you're not sure, you could just Google Sarantos,
Hmm?
Sarantos Music, and all my socials will show up. My website will show up. My website is www.melogia.com. And on there, of course, you're going to find all my socials. You're going to find my email, which is info@melogia.com. But there's a lot of different ways to get a hold of me. Yeah,
Yeah,
Spotify, Apple
cool.
Music, YouTube,
Everything. Mhm.
everything. Yeah.
Everything, yes, sir. Well, we greatly appreciate you coming on, and we honestly hope to God you come back whenever you want to. Um,
Yeah, I'd love
And
to. Thank you.
you're going to do big things. I can see it in the future for you. You know, you just have.
Oh,
I
thank you,
think
man.
it takes time, and a lot of patience. You know, being in the music industry, it's not. Um, you won't get it right away. You know, it takes time and practice, and I'm sure Taylor Swift went through that too. You know,
And she worked
but
her ass off, you
yeah,
know? I mean,
and
she
she still
deserves
does.
everything she's gotten. I mean,
Yeah,
people can be mad because, maybe her dad, they were a little wealthy but she's worked her ass off. All
yeah,
these interviews, all these songs, all these I mean, she deserves 100% of what she gets. She got there because she worked her ass off. That's the bottom line.
yeah. And to go from country to where she is now, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. So, well, we honestly thank you for coming on the show again, and I want you to come back anytime you want to. And
Thank you.
yeah, and for everybody listening, always remember when words fail, music speaks. Bye, guys.